Legacy Maker, the All Sports
The
Network.
place is here and the time is now. Let's take it round for round. And people gather round. Let's see who can win the crown. All the marbles involved. Football, baseball, or golf. Who's dominating the hoops? Who's talking false or the truth? Yeah, come and show me your war face. I'll show you my war face. No holds barred, so for your sake, you better show up in good shape. Valuable information is key to your domination. So focus on preparation. Online is your reputation. Yeah, it's one-on-one. You and me, ain't no fear in me. You will see. When it comes to this, you'll be wearing the number 23. In debate, I hold my weight, cause these sports I'm attached to it. Your legacy, get ready, cause I'm gonna set a match to it. Hey. Burn 'em, fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 legacy on fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 legacy on fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 legacy on fire.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. It has been 4 long months, but Legacy on Fire is back on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, airing on Bowie Television. Once again, everybody, we're glad to be back with you, and we got a fun, impactful show today. We're previewing Super Bowl 58 today. We got to get into that. We have the game set. We're going to talk a little bit about the championship games last week and a couple of other things along the way. Let me introduce you, my panelists on the day. First, he is my partner in crime here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network when it comes to Legacy on Fire, Mr. James Brown. How you doing, James?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Glad to be back. Shout out to everybody out there. We're back to give you more sports takes and action. Can't wait to get into it, man.
Yeah, we ready. And right below here, the man, the stat man, stat man, Russ Taliaferro. Russ, how you doing today, brother? It's good to have you back, man.
Hi, man. I'm tired, rushing home from work, getting ready to get back on the air, man.
I'm tired.
We gotta do what we gotta do.
Got to do what we got to do. Look, y'all. So, hey, look, kind of a new format with Legacy on Fire. We're going to hit you with 3 topics, and we'll hit you with that put out the fire. But we'll go ahead and get this thing started first with our first topic with one sentence. Let's get it going. All right, today's one sentence. So we're going to figure out here. We got 3 minutes on the board for one sentence. Bill Belichick's future. That's the thing that's kind of hanging in the balance here. We're talking about the coach that is second all time in wins. People consider him the GOAT when it comes to coaches with the 6 Super Bowl rings. But now, there was 8 head coaching positions out there. 8 head coaching positions out there. There was a couple that sniffed around, and there was a couple that said, nah, I think we good. And so now we sit here with no home for Bill Belichick. So my question here, or the one sentence that I like to hear, is about Bill Belichick's future. James, I'll start with you. What's your one sentence on Bill Belichick's future?
Oh, man, this one is simple. At this point, it's time to either take command on the field or in the booth. At this point in his career, Bill Belichick, he's got one of 2 options. He can continue coaching, and at this point, the only spot left is the Washington Commanders, where he can go there, be the head coach, work with Brad Allen and the new regime they brought in to see if he can chase Shula in D.C. as well as revitalize that fan base. Or he can take his talents to the booth and commentate games or, work as an analyst on some of these weekly NFL shows. Either way, he gets an opportunity to kind of better himself or his career. I feel like, though, if he doesn't get a spot in Washington, he could take the TV route to kind of revamp his image, and maybe he can get something next year when everything opens back up.
That's really intriguing to see where he goes with that. Russ, we head to you next. One sentence on Bill Belichick's future.
I think he's almost kind of like Monty Kiffin at this point in his career, where it's either coordinator in that sense, or he could be like Tom Brady and follow to the booth, because he's done some commentating work before. So I think, it's not too, strange for him in that sense. But I think his days as a head coach are done at this point. The Washington idea, I think, is a fun one, but I think it all depends on where they themselves want to go, in a sense, with Eric Bieniemy in particular, because what they do with him after all the years he was promised, to be the heir in Kansas City, and then how that kind of ended and left for Washington. I think it's kind of depends on him. but I think his days as a head coach are done right now. At this point, he can either be a really good coordinator or he's going to the booth at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to see Bill Belichick potentially going to the
Nah,
booth.
you can't force him to go back to coordinator. Man.
Coordinator. But I see what you're saying though, Russ.
I think like it could work for him because his mind for defense, you think everyone's good. The one thing that people are knocking on Bill Belichick is his age over almost anything.
Right.
So you think you relieve him a little bit of his duties. Of course, his ego would have to take a really big chill pill. But like if you could just get him to focus on defense and get him the personnel kind of like what he had in New England, he could probably do something pretty good for you. Because when he had time and he had McDaniels and all those guys on offense worrying about that, the defense was pretty good. And they had, guys building up like Richard Seymour, Harrison, all those guys back there, McCourty over the last couple of years in the backfield. He had a pretty good defense when he had guys taking care of the offense. So why not just, make him the highest paid defensive coordinator in the world?
Hey, look, somebody, if they were able to snag on Respawn, like he has won, 2 Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator. So, I mean, maybe. I mean, look, I know that's probably outlandish.
You don't go from making 10, 15, 20 million back to, 2-3 million and being a D coordinator.
Everybody's got to take a pay cut once in a while.
Nah, hit the booth. Ain't no pay cuts in the booth, man.
ain't no pay cuts in the booth. So
ain't no pay cuts in the booth.
Ain't no pay cuts, but there's demotions like Greg Olsen.
Wow.
Hey,
wow. Man, leave Greg
that
alone.
Money
man.
the same though.
As long as they keep the money the same, they're good.
It should be more because he won an Emmy.
He did win an Emmy. Like he's got quality. I will say this before we move on. I heard people talking really bad about like Olsen and how his style, but I thought he did a really good job in the booth. I didn't have any problem with his style. I thought he was really, really smart up there. He's a good color analyst, in my opinion. I thought he did really, he gave us really good intel. I think that's important about color. I thought he did a really good job myself.
I think he's more likable than Tony Romo, and that's why people are hating on him now, to be honest, in some people's eyes. And that's not even me being biased, Tony Romo being a Cowboys fan, and also Greg Olsen's from New Jersey, so I do love him too. But I think he's more likable than Tony Romo sometimes.
I can understand that completely. Let's head to the fire starter. Oh, the fire starter. It is. There it is. The NFC Championship Sunday recap. Now, last week, we had 2 championship games, both 1 seeds taking on the 3 seeds. And you know what? I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought it was gonna go a completely different way than what it ended up going like. I mean, we saw teams that I guess that, how can I put it, y'all? We're not surprised that they're there, but maybe not happy that they're there. So, Russ, I want to start with you first, man. As we get into this, what are your thoughts on the Ravens and Chiefs game? What did you take away from that championship, AFC championship game on Sunday?
I think that this game surprised. I mean, I don't think, I know this game surprised a lot of people because that's the number 1 defense in the league that somehow could not contain the Chiefs enough for their offense to take over. But again, with the way that Baltimore's offense played themselves, there were too many mental mistakes. Now, I won't say the Zay Flowers fumble at the end at the goal line. I don't think that was a mistake. I think that was just a really good play. Yeah, that play was amazing, and just the I don't know if it's awareness, the wherewithal, or just the natural ability to just reach out, look for that fumble opportunity. But I think the Chiefs' defense is better than what people want to give it credit for. Especially, again, and I'm not trying to be biased, with Steve Spagnuolo calling the plays for their defense. I think he's an underrated coordinator himself. And I know me and my family group chat, we were talking about that themselves, is like, where do they go themselves as far as whether Spags could get looks as a head coach himself again, because he hasn't had a head coaching job since St. Louis like 10 years ago. That did not work out well. But just that defense is very underrated. They Snead on the backfield, Bolton if he's healthy, Karlaftis showed up in that game, and just you possibly have the best quarterback of the next 10, 15 years in the world on their team, with the greatest tight end of all time, and also a Rutgers University running back who's going to go over 1,000 yards next year. It's that offense is very good too as well. With possibly the best center in the league running behind Creed Humphreys and that great line too as well. That team is just it doesn't surprise me that they won. It's just it surprises me almost, and they scored only 17 points, which isn't a lot. It surprises me that Baltimore themselves, how good their team is with Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen up in the middle. It surprises me that they scored that many points. That's what surprises me.
It was a little insane, if we had to be honest with you. I was kind of shocked that it went the way it did. James, ahead to you. What were your thoughts on the AFC Championship game, and what happened to Lamar and the boys, man?
I mean, man, honestly, it was a letdown. I'm totally disappointed. I mean, the Ravens, who have been a dominant team all year, who had been just killing teams on the ground, the number one rush offense in the NFL this season, and they just lost their identity. They forgot who they were. They had a total of 16 rushes on the game, and compared to Kansas City's 36 rush attempts. 36 rush attempts for the Chiefs, only 16 for the Ravens. They just totally lost their identity. They forgot who they were, and they were pressing. Honestly, ever since the Chiefs had went up the 17 points, Baltimore from that point on just continued to press. All they seemed to do was just drop back. Lamar always just looking to chuck the ball deep. He failed to use his legs. I mean, part of Lamar Jackson, part of what makes him Lamar Jackson is the fact that he can take off at any moment and get you, 5, 10, 15 plus yards on the ground with his legs when the defense turns their back. Lamar had those opportunities and he failed to take them. Like, he just sat there in the pocket,
right,
trying to evade the rush and make throws downfield. It's like, be Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
I don't know. They came out with this pocket passer script and it was just complete bull. And they lost their identity. They forgot who they were. Flowers did have the fumble, but I mean, that's a great play by the DB. I mean, how many times we've seen receivers dive at the line and they make it? And, the one time the guy just happens to time it perfectly and get a punch out. I mean, Baltimore just lost it, man. The defense kept them in it, but offensively, they just did not have the game that we thought they would. And it's just a disappointment, man. Disappointment for the city, disappointment for the fans, disappointment for our movie TV people.
Yeah.
It's a big letdown, man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, it hurt a little bit. I was sitting there. I told you before the show. I'm like, it's the first time as a not a fan of the team, but just as a journalist, is like, please, I need you to make this happen, and it just didn't happen. And unfortunately, that's what ended up going down. And we see, a team that went away from the run. Things just didn't go their way, and once again, Kansas City is back in the big game. Let's go to the NFC. Russ, on the NFC side of things. Detroit Lions, man, up 14-0 early, and it just fell apart. What were your thoughts on this one, man?
If we were upset about how Baltimore fell apart in their game, and I feel bad about saying it. I don't want to say I'm disappointed or mad or anything, but it's an emotional letdown with how Detroit just fumbled that game in the second half and they couldn't hold on. But I almost think it shows what their maturity level is, in the sense, not like they're immature. It's just the maturity level as far as playing time and experience in these kind of situations, because that team is this close to where they want to be, because they have the perfect head coach for a Detroit-led city team and like that. And I think Dan Campbell's turned everybody into Lions fans after their second or their first favorite team. But Jared Goff somehow became I think he's better in Detroit than he was in LA, and he went to a Super Bowl in LA. I'll say that without hesitation. And Jahmyr Gibbs is the future of that team in the backfield. I ain't gonna say he's Barry Sanders, but there's a reason why he loves Barry Sanders and he runs like him, because the kid is good. But it's a surprise in a sense, and emotional letdown to see that they let that game go. But when you look at who they're playing with, the San Francisco offense and that San Francisco defense being able to hold them to what they could in the second half, and how they just stormed back in that second half, it's not surprising in the same sense, just because that offense is on paper one of the best offenses you could probably have in the whole league.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It's just crazy the way it went down. When they scored the first touchdown, I'm like, nah, this not now, and not now, please, not now. And I think everybody was rooting for the Lions, man. I know I was. I just wanted to see a team that never been there make it there. James, ahead to you. What were your thoughts on the NFC championship game?
I mean, it struck midnight for Cinderella, man. I mean, the Lions were off to a great start. They had it rolling. I mean, you're up 24-7 on the Niners in their house. And they just fumbled it away. I mean, poor decision making by Campbell on his part. Definitely felt like he should have kicked the field goals when he opted to go for it on fourth down. And I get it that, that's been his style. He's been aggressive all season. But, man, you had an opportunity to go up 3 scores on the road against the 49ers. You had a chance to kind of ice the game and put them in a situation where they now had to throw the ball on a day when Purdy was not looking his best, dropping back and throwing the ball. They already had an interception off him at that point. And, if it came down to him having to win the game on his arm, I don't think they get it done, because we've seen throughout the year when the 49ers are able to have a balanced attack on the ground with McCaffrey, adding a little sprinkle of Deebo Samuels, and then throwing the passing game, they're elite, they're efficient. But when it becomes a little bit more one-sided, that's when we've seen that they can be beat. They're a little bit vulnerable when they have to depend on Purdy and his arm. And Detroit had everything lined up to put him in that situation, man, and a couple key snaps, drop passes, couple fumbles, and just some boneheaded decision-making, man, took it all away.
Man, it was definitely hard to watch the switch, just to see how it, they jumped on him so quickly. The Jameson Williams touch, I was like, okay, look at this. And that Detroit team looked like they could win the Super Bowl easily. That's the vibe that I was getting out there, especially after watching the way the Ravens played heading in after that. I mean, watching the way the Chiefs had played. And I said, okay, man, they've already beat the Chiefs. They know how to beat the Chiefs. And I was already thinking, man, look, the Detroit Lions about to be Super Bowl champions. And then they said, hold up, wait a minute. Something ain't right. And then we saw what San Francisco did to Green Bay a couple of weeks ago. Same dream. Green Bay kind of just let them sit there, and you can't let a good team like the San Francisco 49ers hang around, linger around in those situations. You just can't. And that's what happens. And Brock Purdy, all this talk about him not being, whatever. Brock Purdy ran, there was a couple of plays that he looked like Lamar Jackson. He was out there running using his feet and stuff. I'm like, okay, Brock Purdy. He's been hearing all this stuff, so it's been interesting.
I will say, to your point, though, like you mentioned it, just the momentum that they had after the Williams touchdown, like the way that they're set up with the Lions team is that they probably, arguably, they had the best offensive line left in the playoffs coming into last Sunday, just because they got Ragnow at center. They got Sewell, who's becoming like one of the better tackles in the league. They got oh God, I forgot his name. The left tackle right now is slipping my mind. Huh?
Decker? No.
Taylor, yes.
Yeah,
Decker.
Yes.
Taylor Decker. I always get him confused with Taylor Lewan, who played for Tennessee.
Right.
But like, you have the center and you have the 2 tackles on the outside, one of the the almost top 5 line in the league, and a 3-headed monster almost in the backfield. And if there's one way to, especially with how you saw the Chiefs play in the divisional round, if they were to play the Chiefs, if there's one way to play the Chiefs, to beat the Chiefs, is to control that line, because they got dominated in division round at the front line, like without question. Yeah. So like they had everything there in front of them. But I'll be honest, I kind of like the call by Motor City Dan, because he went out on his sword, he went out on the shield, and I wouldn't prefer it any other way. I don't want him to fake it. He's got to be true to himself.
I know a lot of people gave him a lot of grief about it. I mean, a ton of grief about it.
That's Motor City Dan, though. Like, what else do you expect?
I mean, I
expect a win. I expect us to win and play good football.
Yeah,
I mean, I get the first one, but bro, you had a chance again, and again you fell into the same trap. You went for it when you should have kicked the field goal. He did the same thing in Dallas. You go for 2, you didn't get it. At that point, hey, kick the extra point. You got the momentum. It's on your side. Go into overtime, kick their ass, win the game.
Yeah.
But no, he decided to go for it, despite 3 attempts, and he went for it all 3 times, and they lose the game by 1. Cost yourself the 2nd seed.
Tough deal, y'all. Tough deal. Now let's go ahead and head over to our next one. It's time for the main flame. As we talked about, the Super Bowl matchup is set. We got the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the San Francisco 49ers. And if I'm wrong on the Super Bowl, please catch me up on it. I believe this is a rematch of Super Bowl 54. Am I wrong about that? I'm not.
I think it's 54.
I think it's it was about 4 years ago. It was during COVID times, or right before COVID became everybody's non-best friend. But let's talk about it. Super Bowl set to go here. We got the Chiefs taking on the San Francisco 49ers. James, I'm going to start with you. Give me your preview of this one. How do you see this one going?
So, man, looking at a Super Bowl 58, right now San Fran's opening is 2-point favorites. And, again, when they're able to have that balanced game where they're able to run the ball with McCaffrey, sprinkling some Debo, Purdy's able to hit IU, Kittle over the top for these passes, that's when we see the best version of the 49ers offensively. If we get that version of them again, I mean, I know the Chiefs defense has improved a lot this year. This has probably been the best it's been since Mahomes has been there. But, man, if we get that version of San Fran on Super Bowl Sunday, I don't see how they lose it. Like I said, offensively, they just have a bevy of weapons. They still have a great left tackle in Trent Williams, who rarely gives up sacks. To me, on paper, everything is set up for San Fran to take it. But, man, it's just something about the Chiefs this year. No matter how many times they've been the underdog, no matter how many points the difference has been, they found a way. And this has been their worst year for them offensively. And yet somehow they've still found a way to get here. They found a way to win this, to get to this moment, to be in this big game. And, man, we know Patrick Mahomes knows how to play in the Super Bowl. He knows how to win. So, and it's hard for me because, I'm the champ this year. I've been picking everything this year, legacy champ. And so
congratulations, by the way.
Line, man.
Congratulations, by the way.
I'm going to put the belt on the line.
No comment.
I'm going to roll with the Chiefs, man. I'm going to put the belt on the line. I'm going to roll with the Chiefs because you know what? To beat a man, you got to beat the man. Mahomes is still top dog. And they find a way. I don't know what it is. They find a way. I don't think it's the Taylor Swift effect. It could be in some other parallel universe. I don't know. But they always find a way, man, to pull out these games, whether it be by a field goal, 6 points, whatever it is. They get the job done. I feel like they get it done again on Super Bowl Sunday. Mahomes gets his third ring, and I feel like the final will be 28-24, Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, Super Bowl MVP is going to be Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, it's hard to win if you're somebody else in those situations, usually, unless he just has an absolute miserable game.
Unless Chris Jones has like 5 sacks,
right,
2 fumble recoveries, and a defensive touchdown somehow. Like,
somebody get 3.
Pat Mahomes.
Somebody get 3 picks or something like that. Russ, we head to you. What is your Super Bowl 58 prediction?
Now, James did just mention there at the end one guy who I think makes a huge difference in this game because, again, I mentioned the divisional round last time we talked and how they got dominated. Chris Jones didn't show up at that game. Chris Jones showed up in the conference championship and made a difference. And it's hard to ignore that guy when he's in your face within 3 seconds. So like just to be able to for San Francisco, if they can find a way to scheme around that, I think Kyle Shanahan might be able to do that for a while. But how long can you do that if Karlaftis shows up again, if Bolton is healthy and playing, if L'Jarius Sneed and company has the back locked down, and just the Taylor Swift effect or whatever you want to call it takes place. But like
Swifties,
I mean, you call it what you want. Travis Kelce was the best tight end in the world in league history before Taylor Swift showed up on the world on the map in the league this year. So it is what it is. But like for San Francisco, I guess a key for them, I would say they would have to do more than just run it with Christian McCaffrey because we know he's good in and out of the backfield, whether he's catching passes or not. Sorry, that's my phone.
Ice cream man.
I wish. But like for them to get going, I really think it relies on just how well I think Brandon Ayuk can play because we know what Deebo Samuel can do. We know what Christian McCaffrey can do. We know what Purdy is capable of in a sense and what he isn't capable of. But like Purdy's connection with Ayuk, I think is going to be key here just because his development as a number 2 receiver there and possibly a number 1 in the future is very key to where they could go in the future. And then of course, like I said, with Chiefs, I think just how badly they were from the divisional round to the conference championship, that line on defense in particular has to show up and they can't get pushed around because then everything is just kind of messed up. Patrick Mahomes' timing, his connection with Travis Kelce, because like I don't think there's anybody in the league, maybe George Kittle on the other side of the ball, who's better at finding a soft spot in the zone defense to just be able to be open for his quarterback, no matter how good his quarterback's playing. I don't think there's anyone better at that than Travis Kelce at wide receiver or tight end. those two things I would say they would have to be key. But I think I'm gonna agree with James here, and I'm gonna give the edge to the Chiefs just because you can't really count them out. They have possibly 2, 3, 4 players that are either number 1 or number 2 at their position with Mahomes, Kelsey, Jones, and Humphreys. You have almost every facet of the game covered there. And then L'Jarius Sneed, another probably top 5, if not definitely top 10 cornerback in the league too. So like Chiefs have everything, and this is the best defense Patrick Mahomes has ever had, and he's already got 2 rings.
Well, it's funny because the defense stepped up this year. In years past, like you said, it's always been about the offense, and it's been a complete role reversal this year with just a little sprinkling of Mahomes. When we look, Travis Kelce didn't score a touchdown until like last week for 8 straight weeks, which is insane to even think about because he's always been consistent. And now all of a sudden, they still won. And now all of a sudden, Travis Kelce is Travis Kelce again, which makes it dangerous. I hate to be this person, but I'm also with y'all on this one. And this probably gives the 49ers a Super Bowl because we've all selected the Chiefs. So congratulations, San Francisco 49ers fans, because you just won the Super Bowl. But I've got it 30-21 in this one. And for me, when Pat Mahomes, it's hard to stop him. And right now they're in a different gear. Even though it looks different, you still have that confidence that Pat Mahomes is going to go in there and make things happen.
I don't even know if it's just the confidence of that. It's just the confidence in not being fool enough to doubt Patrick Mahomes in late in games. I don't even know if it's full confidence in Patrick Mahomes. It's just, do you really want to be the one that picks against him when he comes back in another comeback in the 3rd or 4th quarter?
Right. And you don't want that. You don't want
Look, if you're the 49ers, if you really want to win, you better go dust off the highlight tape from when the Bucks did it.
I said the same thing.
That was a nasty performance by that defense, man. And he still looked like Superman. I still remember him, no feet, in midair, slinging that joint, 30 yards down the field on a rope, and the receiver just dropped it.
Dropping it, yeah.
So, hey, Superman definitely resides in Kansas City, man.
And they did the best they could in that game. I mean, that poor Pat was running like they said. I remember one time they said the stat was like he ran like 400 yards backwards, which is insane for a whole football.
And that was on a bad toe.
So the bad toe.
So what? I think the toe healthy this time around, man. But if you San Fran, you better get to him.
That Chiefs running game ain't nothing to be afraid of either, though.
That's true. The Chiefs running game is.
Who knew they could run the ball?
Yeah,
Before
exactly.
this year, who knew they could run the ball?
It's probably their best running back in the last 5 years since like Kareem Hunt in like 2017 when he went for like, I think, was it 1,300 yards or so?
Yeah, 1,300.
And I don't even think I'm being biased by saying that just because, I know who Isaiah Pacheco is. That's just, I think, what the facts are. They haven't had a legit running back since Kareem Hunt, and that includes like Charkandrick West, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because if he was that good, Pacheco wouldn't have taken that job in a year.
Yeah, exactly.
And then even like when Shady McCoy was there, he wasn't the same Shady McCoy as he was in Philadelphia and Buffalo. It's just a fact.
Yeah, he was just too mad
in that mentor phase. He was
too busy being mad at EB in order for him to do anything. But anywho, there it is. That's our Super Bowl predictions. And now we head to put out the fire.
Fire, fire, burn on. Fire, 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 burn on. Fire, 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 legacy on fire.
All right, it is time to put out the fire. Where the fellas will have a chance to just talk about a sports topic they want to get off their chest here before we get off for our first episode back in 4 months. It's great to be back here on Legacy on Fire. Russ, you want to start first here, or James, you want to go first?
Guess first.
Of course.
Russ said you would say that, wouldn't you? Russ, it's your turn to put out the fire, sir.
Surprise, surprise. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the road to WrestleMania, and I am honestly not afraid of what's going to happen because I just texted my friends before we got on the air too. Triple H.
Oh no, Russ, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Oh, there you sound one way.
There you go.
Yeah, sorry. Just like a month ago, Triple H had everything lined up and planned out, the matches, which is a very un-Vince-like thing to do. And then after the one weekend, after the Royal Rumble, everything's just blown up in the air with the injuries, with more law, and just everything else that's going under. I am a little worried if I have to be, honest, but I'm hoping to have faith in the right man in Triple H to get his first WrestleMania, and I say his first, even though Vince was, I think, gone last year, but we knew he was still in control before he came back.
Mhm.
But I'm hoping that something happens. There's just some sort of miracle that happens that saves the WrestleMania card, whether it be The Rock or whoever. Although I'm not too excited to see The Rock, and I love him myself, but. I can understand. I feel I know I'm not the only one that's worried about this. People, it's okay. Let's just put it out in the open. WrestleMania card's in trouble. Hopefully, we get a good update in 3 weeks.
You know what, Russ? I feel you on that because with all the injuries, it's like this is the worst time. Like 3 weeks ago, we were like, "Whoa, we about to get a great WrestleMania card," and now it's like now they look like they may swing Cody with Seth, and I'm like, "Why is that happening?" And now, who knows?
That promo Monday night, that makes me a believer in that match, though, because
Yeah.
Seth and Cody, they had a good promo on Monday night. That's what wrestling's about.
Seth has never won against Cody, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's still in the big matches has always been that way. So we'll see. Hopefully WrestleMania gets saved. James, we head to you. It's time for you to put out the fire, sir.
All right. So for me, I'm gonna stick with the world of football. And my question is kind of looking past, the Super Bowl, heading into the off season. Is Justin Fields really that good? Because it seems like at this point in time, as we head into the off season, teams that don't have a quarterback looking around saying, well, what can we do? Can we trade for somebody? Can we get up and draft a guy? Do we want to sign a guy as a free agent? And for whatever reason, Justin Fields' name just seems to keep percolating throughout the market as some viable trade target for multiple teams to get to be their starting quarterback going forward when I just don't see it. I mean, he's 10-28 as a starter in the NFL now. He's going into his 4th season. So it's coming time where it's almost contract time to make a decision with, do you pay him? Do you let him walk? And you're telling me you really, as an NFL team, think it's worth trading anywhere from a second to, some people believe you can get a 1st-round pick for this guy. But to give up all that for a guy who hasn't really shown that he is the man. I mean, he's been inconsistent in Chicago, regardless of whether it's the coaching or the players around him. The fact of the matter is he hasn't produced. He hasn't gotten the job done. He doesn't look the part. I know physically he's gotten all the traits. I know he's got the great arm. I know he's mobile. But it's what I don't get the allure. I don't get the hoopla surrounding Justin Fields heading into the offseason. And really, I just don't want to see him in Atlanta. That's what it all boils down to here, folks. Every time there's a freaking mobile quarterback that's available, that's on the market, it's like, hey, the Falcons got to go get that guy. Atlanta has to go get that guy. And if that's the case, I don't want it to be Justin Fields. It's not worth giving up a 2nd-round pick. It's damn sure not worth giving up a 1st-round pick. No, don't do it. I would give you a 4th. I would give you a 4th this year and a 3rd next year if you want a conditional. But if you want anything more than that, politely go kick rocks.
Yeah, because you gotta.
I'm getting off the phone.
You gotta approve yourself. And look, it's there. Like I got the chance to see him this year in person, and when he was playing against the Commanders' defense and the worst defense in the NFL, and they lit him up.
Oh, he looks good when the defense sucks. He looks great when the other team is awful.
He lit him up.
When the other team is good, he looks awful.
But you can only use the Matt Nagy excuse for so long before you actually have to play well.
True.
And that's what it's been with Fields at every stop. It's been, well, it was Nagy. Well, now it's Getsy. Well, he doesn't have anybody. It's like, dude, they just went out and traded a number 1 receiver for you and more, and you still couldn't get the job done. They didn't got you tackles, kiting. It's like, at some point, you're the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that. I now just the question is, who will be the quarterback in Atlanta? That will be something to see, James. What do you before I do mine?
I would much rather trade up for a guy in the draft. I get a rookie scale contract. He hasn't been tampered. He hasn't been polluted with, and you can start fresh. We got fresh starts in Atlanta this year. Start fresh at the quarterback position, man.
Just start fresh.
A new offensive coordinator yet?
Yeah, Zach Robinson from the Rams.
Oh.
And I tell you what, man, I would much rather us see Atlanta trade up and take one of the top 3 guys on the board, or hey, if you can get somebody at the top of the 2nd or trade back into the 1st and maybe pick up a Penix or a McCarthy, something like that, if you really want that 5th-year option. But I would not trade for Justin Fields. I would not.
I'm telling you right now.
That would be my 30-second option.
It's 30-second option.
Tell Desmond Ridder to watch nothing but Chad Pennington film all off season so he can be accurate and throw to the tight end. And he'll be fine.
As bad as he was this year, I would much rather have Ridder with a new OC than trade for Fields.
100%.
And then because I have to give up assets to get you, and then you might not even be worth it. I may as well stick with what I got and use my assets to draft a guy versus sending it away to hope you're the guy.
And I might even think.
And I know he's from Kennesaw. I know local kid, all that, but I can't trade assets for you, bro. Now,
not nothing crazy. I mean, maybe it's like you said, like something light.
I said, off in the third, I got you. And if you get cut, holler at me. But I'm not giving you no second round pick, and I damn sure ain't giving you a first.
Facts.
As bad as he was, DJ Moore still had probably his best year of his career.
Craziness, right? And it doesn't even seem like it. Even seem like it. All right, so I'm gonna put out the fire here, and I'm gonna make it simple. Look, Milwaukee Bucks. What you did to Adrian Griffin is a sham mockery. This man went 30-13, had the third best record in the league, and you fire him. And here's the thing: I know we've heard a couple things. You know, maybe he wasn't getting along with the players. Giannis just came out like a day before yesterday and said he was surprised by the firing. I don't know if I believe that or not. But I'm going to tell you who's the snake in all this, and that is Doc Rivers. So what I didn't like about this story is that you see that Doc Rivers is consulting from behind and supposed to be helping Adrian along the way. And the day that he got fired, within hours, Doc was the new head coach. And, you know, when I found out he was consulting him the whole time, I'm like, what was he really consulting this guy? And, you know, were they really just like hoping that if it didn't work out, we'll just have Doc ready in the wings? And I just didn't like it. It was some bad vibe about it when I first heard it. I'm like, this is insane that Doc was right there waiting to take that position and you know, potentially lead this team to a 3-1 loss in the Western Conference, in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't understand why that was the case. But Adrian Griffin, I'm sorry that you had to go through that, sir. They didn't even give you a full season to get things together, and you were 30-13. 30-13, and you didn't deserve that, sir. I mean, there are coaches that are drooling, the Washington Wizards, places that would be drooling for a coach to come along and be what they need them to be, and it's just sad. So I'm sorry, Adrian Griffin, that happen to you, man. And Doc, shame on you. If this is what I'm thinking it is, shame on you. I could be wrong, but it might be.
Nah, I think you might be right on that one.
Somewhere like that whole Milwaukee situation is dirty. It almost reminds me of like Minnesota back when KG was there and he just hated Glenn Taylor. But I think there's something wrong in like the Milwaukee hierarchy where like either the owner, the president, the GM, or somebody did not want Griffin from the start. Because that consulting job from Rivers was at the team's request, not Griffin's request. So it's almost like a buyer's remorse. With like they brought in Griffin because they saw he was cool on Toronto's bench and everything, and he learned under them. And then like they brought in Doc Rivers to be a consultant when it wasn't, almost like an assistant head coach in football. We're just waiting for him to screw up even just a little bit, and
just
then
a little bit,
just clean them out real quick. So like, there's something going on in the Milwaukee like ownership group, right? GM, the president, whoever it is, like one of them did not want Griffin, and then the other one wanted Griffin, and just they could not figure it out, and they tried to do a good solution for both, where they kind of had almost two head coaches in one, and whatever it is, it's kind of bullcrap. Because you said.
I feel like they were just kind of like, all right, let's see what happened, and then they're like, man, he keeps winning. We gotta he keeps winning. We got to find a way for him to lose in order for him to take the spot. It was crazy. It was crazy.
I still think that he probably said something about Giannis' brother being there taking up a slot, man.
He might have.
And I feel like word got back to Giannis, like, hey,
can't
look,
do that, man.
Your brother really using up this last slot. We could get rid of him and bring somebody else in that they can actually help the team produce. And word got back, and he just like, we can't have this.
You don't mess with them Greek brothers as much as you mess with them Serbian dudes from Denver. You just don't. you just don't.
You just don't mess with it. And it's crazy because look, Griffin, from what I hear, is a very hard-nosed coach. He comes from that Tom Thibodeau tree, and Thibodeau is as tough as they come as a head coach. And maybe they soft up there. I don't know. I don't know.
They can't be Minnesota soft. Though. I mean, I don't think they're Minnesota soft. That's a different level.
Nah. That's a whole nother story right there. See how Minnesota doing the number one seed.
Well, everybody
right
except for Ant, everybody except for Ant, probably Minnesota soft. Ant tough though.
It's crazy because, like, you think about it, the team, like you said, third in the league or third in the conference with 2 of the top 10 players in the league on your roster and managing them to that, and they're doing essentially what the Lakers can't do, where they have 2 of the top 10 players in the league, and yet they can't even finish like above 7th, and yet he still gets fired.
Should Griffin go to LA?
I mean, no, don't do that to him. It was
LeBron does the first-year head coaches. Leave him alone. Leave him out of LA.
I feel bad for Darvin Ham out there. I mean, it's just like every coach at some point, when do you blame the team that the way it's built compared to the coaches? Because they've been through 4 coaches, I think. Vogel, they've been with Vogel, they had Ham. Then they have somebody else. I feel like they had somebody else when he was there. So they've been like 2 or 3 coaches, right?
What's his name's kid? Walton.
Oh, yeah, Luke Walton was there.
Yeah. So since LeBron's been in there, they had like 3 coaches. And it's just like
anyone who's going to LA knows what they're walking into, because until LeBron retires, that head coach of whatever team he's on, whether it's LA, Milwaukee, Minnesota, Miami, whatever, they're just a figurehead. LeBron's in charge of that team, and you're not going to do anything to stop him because he wants to play with his kid, and he's going to do everything he can to make sure that happens.
Well, if you go in every spot he's been in, as like something with the coach has always kind of been that way. It happened in Cleveland, really to an extent happened in Miami, but Spoelstra obviously is still there. And one hell of
he
a
had
coach.
Pat Riley backing him up, man.
He did have Pat Riley backing him up, and
Pat
so
said, hey, play ball.
Then we're not doing that. You come to play. I want to go back to Cleveland. Bye, sir.
Pat said, play ball, bro.
I will give you credit, though. I think it was the second stint in Cleveland where he started to show, I'm in charge of this kind of thing. He had to get his footing in the league no matter how big of a deal he was when he came out of high school. So I'll give LeBron a little bit of credit there. But anyone who coaches LeBron now, they should know what they're signing up for. Just take the paycheck and just shut up.
Exactly. Just sit here and let me coach, baby. Hey,
exactly. You're getting paid millions of dollars to live in good weather and coach one of the greatest players of all time. Just shut up and try and hope they play well enough to get into the playoffs.
Just let me eat, or whatever the young folks say nowadays. Something like that.
They're barely making it to the play-in at this point. It's like, LeBron's not going to get the blame. It's going to be put on the coach. But at the same time, like we just said, the coach's hands are tied. So it's like, what is he to do?
What is he to do? All right, everybody. That is it for episode 58 of Legacy on Fire here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, airing on Bowie Television. We'd like to thank all of our listeners for the Legacy Maker Sports Network as well as Bowie Television. Thank you all for tuning in with us today, and we're glad to be back. Now, we will be back. Unfortunately, you'll see a rerun next week, but we'll be back the following week to bring you more. Myself, president of the station, Candy Waller, and our girl Karita Parks, who covered the Ravens. We're heading to Super Bowl next week, so unfortunately no show next week, but we will be back the week after to bring you more here on Bowie and, of course, on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. Before we get out of here, James, anything you want to say?
Hey, man, glad to be back. Shout out to everybody out there watching. We'll see y'all after the Super Bowl, and stay tuned. There's more to come.
More to come. Russ, anything you want to say before we go, brother?
And everyone stay as happy, as healthy as they possibly can, and just enjoy life. You never know when it's going to be over. So have fun.
Man. Yeah, you never know, man. Look, hey, y'all take care of yourselves out there. Once again, thank y'all all for tuning in. This has been Legacy on Fire on the Legacy Maker Sports Network and on Bowie Television. Until next time.